All right, you guys, we are back with another solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. All right, so let's jump right in. We have 2x squared plus 20x equals -10, and I need that equal to 0 so that I can solve using the quadratic formula. So 2x squared plus 20x plus 10 equals 0. So remember, it has to be equal to 0 for me to solve. All right, so A is 2, B is 20, and C is 10. So x equals the opposite of B, which is -20, plus or minus B squared, so 20 squared, minus 4 times 2 times 10. Okay, so it is very important that you memorize this formula. All over 2 times 2. All right, so x equals -20 plus or minus the square root. Okay, I'm going to use my calculator. I'm going to type in what's under the square root only. Minus 4 times 2 times 10. Okay, so I've only typed in what's underneath the square root symbol. And I get 320 all over 4. All right, so x equals -20 plus or minus, okay? Now, since I'm new to URI Charter, I'm not sure how you were taught how to simplify radicals. I will create a second video that talks about simplifying radicals that may help you out, okay? So if I take a more traditional approach, okay, I need to divide by numbers that are perfect squares. So I can see if 320 is multiplied by something that's a perfect square. And I'm going to start with 16. Okay, and so 16 was a good candidate, but 20 is also divisible by a perfect square. So if I divide by 4, okay, that means I've got two perfect squares. So I'm going to multiply those together. So 16 times 4, that's 64. So I'm going to take 320, I'm going to divide it by 64, because that's a perfect square. Oops, 64. All right, and I get 5. So what does that mean for my problem? So that means if I take the square root of 320, that's the same thing as the square root of 64 times the square root of 5. Okay, and then I know that the square root of 64 is 8, and then I don't reduce the square root of 5, or I don't simplify it. Okay, so now instead of taking the square root of 320, I'm going to replace that with plus or minus the square root of 8, plus or minus 8, and then square root of 5, all over 4. Okay? All right, now, once you are here, you have to ask yourself, okay, can you take -20, 8, and 4, and are they divisible by a number in common? And they are. They are all divisible by 4. So if I divide -20 by 4, I get -5. If I divide 8 by 4, I get 2. And if I divide 4 by 4, I get 1. So this final answer becomes -5 plus or minus 2 square root 5. Okay, and then over 1, I don't have to write that. So I just leave over 1. I just leave that off. Okay, so this is my final answer. Now remember, that is two separate answers, but we write it as one combined answer. That's why the plus minus is here. So I'm going to type -5 plus minus, then 2 square root 5. That's why these symbols are here, okay, when you solve problems like this. So submit my answer. Yes. And there we go. Okay, and you can see Delta Math took a very similar approach to how I did it. Okay, all right, so let's look at another one. Okay, let's go back to show question. All right, so our next example, x squared minus 59 equals 8x. All right, so I'm going to take this Okay, and I'm going to subtract 8x. So I get x squared minus 8x minus 59 equals 0. All right, then I have A, B, C. So A is 1 in this problem. A is 1 because there's no number in front of x squared, so it's the understood one. B is negative 8. C is negative 59. So x equals the opposite of B, so that's 8, plus or minus the square root of B squared, so negative 8 squared, minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is negative 59, all over 2 times 1. So x equals 8 plus or minus the square root. So now let's type in what's underneath the square root. So negative 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 59. That gives me 300 over 2. Okay, so now I need to take the square root of 300 and I need to simplify it. So if I divide that, okay, by 100, okay, because 100 is a perfect square. So 100 times 3 is 3. So the square root of 100 is 10 square root 3. Okay, and remember, I'll provide you with a second video on how to simplify radicals that may help you if this approach does not help you. All right, so I'm going to rewrite it. X equals 8 plus or minus 10 square root of 3 over 2. All right, and I can divide all of the numbers outside the radical by 2. If I can't divide all of them, I leave it alone. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, 10 divided by 2 is 5, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, so my next answer, since I'm running out of room, is x equals 8. Oops, not 8, 4. Forgot I reduced it. So 4 plus or minus 5 root 3, and then the divide by 1 becomes optional. Okay, so 4 plus or minus 5 square root 3. Submit my answer. Got my green check. Okay. All right. So that is your quadratic formula review. I will come back in one additional video to go over this section. All right. Good luck.